The man was nearly frozen solid, yet he stripped off all his clothes and curled up naked in the snow. His teeth chattered uncontrollably as he blew warm breath into his palms, but still, he refused to put his clothes back on. Instead, he stared at the plastic bag in his hand, then looked down at the ground and made an agonizing decision. He dumped out the flour from the bag, filled it with snow, and clutched it tightly against his chest. He held on until nightfall, but the snow hadn't melted even a little bit. To make matters worse, his clothes were still damp. The emotions he'd been bottling up finally exploded. He screamed in anger, cursing his misfortune, but just then, he spotted a warm village at the mountain's peak. The man jumped for joy. He had hope of survival again. To stay warm, he had no choice but to put on his wet clothes. Then he curled up in a stone cave. Staring at those warm houses in the distance, he drifted off to sleep filled with hope. The next morning, he finally got to drink water from melted snow. With everything ready, he eagerly set off toward the summit. As time passed, his vision started to blur, and hunger nearly overwhelmed him completely. He could only push forward on pure instinct. When he was about to reach the top, he was utterly stunned. The village he'd seen before had vanished into thin air. That's when it hit him. It was a hallucination caused by the extreme cold. He felt utterly hopeless and lost all will to live. When he woke up again, it was already the morning of the fourth day. He tried to stand up but immediately collapsed. A sharp pain shot through his right leg. He pulled up his pant leg and saw that his sock had almost completely fused with his skin, and his calf had turned purple. He realized that if he didn't deal with it now, once the skin and sock fully bonded together, things would get even worse. He gritted his teeth and yanked the sock off with all his might. The wound tore open instantly, and pain radiated throughout his entire body. After mentally preparing himself, he tore off a loose piece of frozen flesh, and after a long internal struggle, he put the frozen skin in his mouth. To survive, the man had no choice but to keep moving forward. Suddenly, he collapsed in despair onto the snow. He seemed to see his mother. With the hope of seeing his family again, he carried that belief and made it to day 6. This time, he decided to use every last bit of strength for one final push, so he continued climbing toward the summit. Just as he was about to reach the top, his body hit its absolute limit, and he collapsed to the ground. He didn't know how much time had passed when he woke up. The radio still had no signal and was about to die, but he didn't struggle. Instead, he calmly spoke his last words. Finally, just as he was preparing to face death, the radio picked up a signal. A brightly colored helicopter slowly descended above him. He was finally rescued. This is a survival movie in the snow called 6 Below. In reality, most people who go missing in snowy mountains have an extremely low chance of survival. So if you're exploring in wilderness mountain areas, please be fully prepared. Follow me to watch more amazing movie stories.